Hi, I'm Brian Crombie, and we're going to be talking on the Brian Crombie Show. We're going to be talking about politics, arts, business, and social issues on the Brian Crombie Show on Canada One TV. Good evening, and welcome to the Brian Crombie Show on Canada One TV. So COVID-19 has impacted, almost every facet of life. And it's interesting because different people, different professions have found ways to adapt. And I wanted to introduce you tonight to a fascinating young lady. She's a criminal law litigator, and she's advertising her services on Instagram and TikTok. And it's funny because she's got this handle that I found, and I found really quite interesting, and I follow her, called Lawyer in Heels. And one of her arguments is that she can dress the way that she wants to dress, even if it's kind of provocative. So what? And it's wonderful. And she does a whole bunch of TikTok and Instagram Reels, and has gotten quite a following because of that. So I'd like to introduce you to Elham Jamshidi. Elham, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're a criminal lawyer, litigator.
I am.
Tell us, what is a criminal litigator? You don't do regular divorce stuff and family law stuff and wills and estates. You only go to court.
So I specialize in criminal law, and 95% of my cases go to trial. So I do litigation.
So you don't settle?
I don't settle, no. My advice
But it's criminal, it's not litigation, it's criminal litigation.
It's criminal litigation. So anyone that's charged with a criminal offense, they would call me, and I would be the person that can help them and direct them in getting the proper representation.
And so you're always working for the defense, I take it, because you're not a prosecutor.
That's right.
Right.
I work for the defense.
So you're always working for the defense, and it's always criminal, and you're in court. So how has that been impacted by COVID-19?
It's had a huge impact, actually. Initially, when COVID started, the courts were closed down because we were not prepared to deal with this pandemic.
Yeah.
We've now gradually found ways to deal with.
Through what, video?
We have Zoom court now, we have teleconference court now, and if you want to go to court, which an accused has the right to go to court, everything is in plexiglass, so you're encased in plexiglass, the judge is encased in plexiglass, and they limit the amount of people that can go to the courthouse.
And juries as well?
Juries, there are no jury trials as of right now.
Oh, really?
That's right.
So what happens if you have a right to a jury trial?
Your case is being adjourned until until the end of this year, and then we're waiting to see what's going to happen.
Now, what is happening? Are the Crowns, are the police moving forward with cases, or is everything getting delayed?
Everything is getting delayed. So our system is at such an enormous backlog. So, for instance, I had jury trials set for April of 2020 when the pandemic hit and the courts were closed. Those cases that were set for April of 2020 were bumped to April of 2021, but we're now back to being in the gray zone, lockdown. So now those cases are now being adjourned to the following year. And so it's just
So 2 years late?
Yes.
Now, I thought typical criminal stuff doesn't have a statute of limitations?
There is no statute of limitation. There is it's called the Jordan date, which is that you have a right to have a trial within a reasonable time under the charter. It's guaranteed under the charter. If there is a delay as a result of the courts not being available, or if the police have not done a proper investigation to bring you to court in a timely fashion. But COVID is an unexpected, exceptional circumstance, which I don't think, I know at this stage that delay is not anyone's fault. It's a pandemic that no one was anticipating.
But that shouldn't abridge people's basic human rights.
I agree.
If you have the right to a trial within a reasonable time period, you should have that right. And it's the government's fault they didn't build enough court space or anticipate pandemics. That's what their job is to protect against emergencies.
Yeah, I agree with you, absolutely. And so, where the courts are trying their best to work with what's happening. I mean, it's a fluid situation. It's continuously, changing. And so the courts are saying, look, we have to listen to the medical officers. We have to listen to the premier. There's guidelines that we need to follow, and so we're just kind of being bounced back and forth. And it is a shame, and particularly for people that are in custody.
Yeah.
You have people that are not out on bail, waiting to have a trial, and they cannot get a trial because of this pandemic, but they're sitting in jail. So it really is.
It's completely unfair.
It is unfair, and it is unfortunate, and we certainly should have had something in place to deal with situations like this.
No question. Okay, so now let's switch gears.
Okay.
Lawyer in heels.
Yes.
Fascinating that this is, and was this because of COVID that you started doing this, or were you advertising through Instagram Reels and TikTok beforehand?
So I've been on social media for about 4 years now. And I don't even get my clients from social media. My clientele base is really 95% is referrals.
Okay.
So I'll represent a person, and then they'll receive the results they're happy with, and then my name gets out, and this is how I get my clients. My social platform is more for empowering young women, empowering anyone that has impostor syndrome, anyone that is afraid.
Impostor syndrome, what's
Yes.
that?
It is when you want to do something, but you're afraid that you're not good enough to do it. So I want to encourage people to say, hey, if you have a dream, go for it. Do not be discouraged by other people's opinions. Do not be discouraged by people saying, no, you can't do it, or that's silly, or you shouldn't do this. If you can dream it, you can achieve it.
Okay, so
Keep
tell
going.
me, lawyer in heels.
Yes.
You're renowned for posting lots of pictures of you in extremely attractive, and I apologize if it's inappropriate, but what I would describe as provocative clothing.
Yes.
And in heels, and you always wear the highest, I don't know, do you have a minimum 4-inch or 5-inch heel?
No, I don't have a minimum.
But always in heels.
Yes.
And you're talking about you can be feminine. You can dress this way and still be credible and deserve respect. What's your argument there?
So, and I will say this, when I was starting to become a lawyer, and I decided to become a criminal lawyer, a lot of people really discouraged me.
Because?
Because I was a female. And a female of a very, small stature, it's dangerous, criminal law is not for females, this is not for you. And my parents told me, listen, if this is what you want to do, you go for it. You don't worry about what other people think or what other people have to say. And so how I look has nothing to do with how I would present in court, or the kind of lawyer that I am, or how smart I am. They are not. They're two different. They're two different things. My social media platforms really are there to encourage people to live an authentic life, to be their authentic self.
And your authentic life is dressing in heels and the clothing such as you're wearing today.
Sure. I love fashion. I've always loved fashion. And so for me, I'm a lawyer, yes, but that doesn't define me. That's not the only thing that I am. I'm
Right.
so much more than a lawyer. I have so much more to offer
Do you
than
think?
being a lawyer.
Do you think society? Do you think that the criminal justice system? Do you think that sort of the legal system sort of tells females to dim their lights, to dampen down their femininity, to wear more conservative, more masculine clothing?
Absolutely.
Really? You think so?
It's society has created a mold, and society expects, hey, you're a lawyer, therefore you should look a certain way.
And you don't want to look that certain way.
And I say, hey, I'm claustrophobic. I don't want to fit a mold. I am me, and and I'm not for everyone. Some people love me, some people hate me, and that's okay. I'm not for everyone. Not everyone will understand my logic, and I'm completely okay with that.
Well, it's interesting because you're part of a network of other lawyers that are also all advertising themselves through social media, particularly Instagram Reels and I guess TikTok.
Yes.
And I've ended up interviewing another one of them, a lawyer in Los Angeles
Yes.
that is a divorce lawyer, and she gets the majority of her clientele from social media.
Yes.
And it's amazing. And she actually produces a lot of very helpful little 15-second snippets, and it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
So the world has changed.
The world has changed, and and you're supposed to have fun, right? And I think, and I know you're talking about Kelly Chang.
Yep.
She's phenomenal, and she's so inspirational, and she uses her social media platform to educate people
Yep.
about family law, divorce, and she's amazing. My social platform is more of lawyer
Empowerment.
lifestyle, fashion, and just really encouraging people to follow their dreams.
Well, I got to tell you, if you get a second, if you're on Instagram, on TikTok, check out lawyer.in.heels, because you'll be interested in her social media platform and her stories, because they are authentic and they're interesting, and there are a lot of very high heels. We're going to take a break and come back more. And we're going to talk a little bit about criminal justice and the sort of the process, and see if we can get educated a little bit in that regard. Stay with us.
ओंटारियो का कोविड-19 प्लान फैलाव को रोकने और जिंदगियां बचाने में मदद फराहम कर रहा है। जब तक हम सबको वैक्सीन नहीं लग जाती, मास्क पहनें, अपने हाथ धोएं और फासला रखें। हम अब तक इकट्ठे चलते रहे हैं और पूरे ओंटारियो में रोजाना हजारों लोग वैक्सीन लगवा रहे हैं। आपकी बारी जल्द आने वाली है। ओंटारियो के वैक्सीन प्लान के बारे में मजीद जानें। अदायगीशुदा मिन जानिब हुकूमत ओंटारियो।
Here's to the people, pioneers searching for better, ambitious fortune seekers in strange new places. They're the inspiration behind Zoom, the fast and secure money transfer app from PayPal.
Everything is cooked to perfection in homemade spices. 49 Kennedy Road, South Unit 1, Brampton. Phone
647-247-0999.
647-247-0999. Tangy Chef. Discover your flavors.
Are you looking for a different type of realtor? Meet Sohail Khan, broker owner of Century 21 Innovative Realty Inc. You don't need to know a lot about real estate, but you do need to know Sohail Khan, who knows a whole lot about real estate. He knows contracts, negotiations, research, he knows the market, and he really knows the area. When it comes to real estate buying or selling, Sohail Khan is a know-it-all. Get to know Sohail Khan. 416-822-0305 or at sohailkhan.ca. Experience excellence.
Patna Kebab House. The taste you like, the cuisine you love. 2 locations to cater to your needs. Mississauga at 755 Queensway Road East, 905-897-1420. Scarborough at 1885 Lawrence Avenue East, 416-759-4920. All halal, dine-in, take-out, catering. Patna Kebab House.
Hi, I'm Brian Crombie, and we're going to be talking on the Brian Crombie Show. We're going to be talking about politics, arts, business, and social issues on the Brian Crombie Show on Canada One TV. Welcome back to the Brian Crombie Show on Canada One TV. We're chatting tonight with Elham Jamshidi, who is a barrister and a solicitor in Toronto, but she specializes in criminal litigation. So she goes to court to defend any of us that run afoul of the police, of the justice system. And she's got a fantastic social media platform, lawyer.in.heels, Lawyer in Heels, on Instagram and TikTok. You got to check it out if you're at all interested in how some people are creating a social media presence for themselves. And she wears some fantastic clothes and very high heels, and so it's fun. Elham, again, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me, Brian.
So let's talk a little bit about what you would recommend people do if they're caught up in the criminal justice system. So if and you know, not everyone is guilty. Lots of people are innocent. Your job is to actually defend them, and so I presume you assume people are innocent when they come to see you. So if someone has got a problem with the police and they're in the criminal litigation system, what do you do? First call is to a lawyer, I presume, or
the police will arrest you, and they will say to you, would you like to speak to a lawyer? The answer has to always, always, always be yes.
Right.
Because knowledge is power. You as an accused person that may go through the criminal justice system, you should know what your rights are.
Okay,
and it's a lawyer that will give that to you.
Okay, so lots of people will say that you know, if you go in and you talk to the police and you're willing and you're helpful and stuff like that, they'll see you as a good guy or a good person and will give you the benefit of the doubt. But if you ask for a lawyer, they'll assume that you're guilty and will become, you know, stronger in their desire to put you behind bars.
So let me say this: that mentality is a very it's what the society thinks is what it is. Anyone that is entrenched in the criminal justice system, police officers, lawyers, and judges, they understand the importance of Charter of Rights. They understand the importance of right to remain silent, and they understand the importance that if someone is going to exercise that right, as they should, they ought not to be penalized for it.
Okay, so tell me about this right to remain silent.
Okay.
Do we have a right to remain, in the US they always talk about the Fifth Amendment, that you can't incriminate yourself. How long does our right to remain silent continue for?
Forever. And so
So we don't have to say anything.
You do not have to say anything. You cannot lie, so you can't make something up, you can't you know, exaggerate or make any falsehoods or lie to the police. But your best way of dealing with that is, upon my lawyer's advice, I have nothing to say, or I wish to just remain silent. That is a right that is given to you, and it ought to be exercised. It's there for a reason.
Okay. And again, people will say, oh, if you're not you know, testifying in a proceeding, then you're hiding something. So you should talk.
Right, and again, that mentality or that concept is from society, not from people that are in the legal justice system that understand the importance of the right to remain silent. So for instance, the police officer that's arresting you and you're saying, look, I don't want to say anything, he's not going to look at you and say, oh, you must be hiding something because you don't want to talk. He's going to say, hey, his lawyer has told him
To do that.
to do that. Remain silent, which is his right, and then let the courts figure it out down the road.
Right. If the police call you up and ask you to come over to the station because, you know, they want some information, should you?
Always call your lawyer for legal advice. So my advice to anyone is, if the police want to talk to you, if the police want to come and ask you questions, even as a witness, you should contact a lawyer to find out what your rights are and what the consequences are, depending on what role you're playing in. But always, 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 if you are a potential suspect, if you're suspected for committing a criminal offense, if you're being arrested for something, at no point should you give a statement to the police.
Never give a statement to the police.
Never give a statement to the police.
Really?
Never. Absolutely.
That's interesting. Okay, what if the police knock on your door?
Yes.
What do you do?
If they knock on your door, you can ask them if they have a search warrant. They cannot enter unless they have a search warrant or unless you give them consent.
So if the police knock on your door and say, can we come talk to you?
Yes.
What do you do?
You can say no.
You can say no, or you should say no?
You can say no and you should say no.
Okay.
Until you, I mean, I guess it depends on what the circumstances are. So are we talking about the police are coming to your door as you're being arrested as an accused person, or are they coming to your door as a witness? Because there's two different...
Okay, so let's go with both. You don't know whether you're going to be accused or why they're there. They just come and they knock on the door, and what I hear is it's often late at night or even in the middle of the night, and they
Yes.
knock on the door and they ask to speak with you. What do you do?
So presumably if the police are coming in the middle of the night to speak to you, is because you're a suspect for something, or you're wanted, or you're being arrested for something. And at that stage, you should say, officer, what am I being arrested for? And say that you want to speak to a lawyer immediately.
Okay.
You see, every situation is different. And so, but one thing that will always remain the same, which is when you're dealing with the police, contact your lawyer, any criminal lawyer, and receive the knowledge so you know what your rights are.
And never make a statement.
Never make a statement.
And keeping silent is fine.
Absolutely. It's
Okay.
actually expected.
Okay, what if you're a potential witness?
So now that's a little bit different. As a witness, again, you cannot lie to the police, but you have no obligation to cooperate.
Is it our civic duty to cooperate?
Would it assist the police in the investigation? Sure. But you're under no obligation. So it may be, it may be the right thing to do, but you're not under any legal obligation to cooperate.
Okay, so if someone's arrested today, charged for a non-violent offense, how long is that typical process for it to go through the court process?
Okay, so let's hypothetical, this person has never been involved with the police before, has no prior criminal record, has been arrested for, say, something very simple as getting into a fight at a bar, say an assault. From the time that this is pre-COVID, okay? So we're not gonna factor into COVID. So from the time that they are arrested to the time that they have a trial, if it's proceeding summarily, then it's 18 months. That's the maximum.
What do you mean summarily?
So this is a lot of legal talk, which I don't know if people want, but so the Crown can proceed two ways. One is by indictment, which is you can have a trial by judge and jury, or they can proceed summarily where you'll have a trial in the provincial court will be with the judge alone. Okay, so there's two different ways of
And it's up to the Crown to decide whether they want to go with a jury or not?
It's up to, depending on what the charges are. So some charges are straight indictable, some charges are straight summary, some charges are hybrid.
Okay.
And then the ones that are hybrid, the Crown will determine if they're proceeding by indictment or by summary.
And that's a Crown decision, not an accused decision?
That's right.
Okay.
Of how they're going to proceed. If the Crown decides to proceed by indictment, the accused can decide, hey, I want to have a trial by judge and jury, which is what I always do.
Why?
Jury trials, there will be 12 people that will determine your fate versus one person. And a jury trial, depending on what the charges are. So if it's a very technical legal issue, you would want it to be judge alone, because it's a very technical legal issue. If it's an issue that comes down to credibility, assessing someone's credibility, he said, she said, you will almost always want to go with the jury.
So in a jury trial, please
Yes.
correct me if I'm wrong, all 12 jury members have to agree with the verdict.
Yes.
So it's not majority rules, it's all 12, it's unanimous approval.
Yes, that's correct.
So I've always, been of the belief that you're far better with a jury trial because, finding one person that might disagree
Yes.
is a lot higher chance than having a judge, deciding one way or the other. You only got one chance out of 12 versus one chance out of 1.
Except for the difference is that there's some situations where a jury trial just would not be in the best interest of the accused.
Right.
Okay? So for example, something that involves really heinous, set of allegations or where the jury might psychologically be impacted, you may prefer to do that in front of a judge, because the judge will, hopefully they will be intellectually honest and do what is legally the right thing to do.
How'd you get into this business? Why'd you decide to become a criminal litigation lawyer?
So, rewinding back to my childhood, I was born in Iran, and my parents fled as a result of the revolution. My father was wrongfully imprisoned. He was accused of being a spy. And so when my father was released from jail, my mother, my father, and my 2 older brothers, we fled through the mountains and lived in Pakistan for a year, and then came to Canada as refugees. And I knew...
And that whole process sort of motivated you?
It motivated me to really fight for people's rights and to really be a voice for people that didn't have a voice.
Well, if I ever get in trouble, I'm going to give you a call.
Thank you, Brian.
If people want to follow you on Instagram, they can do that at lawyer.in.heels.
Yes.
If they want to call you because someone knocked at their door late at night and they got a problem, what do they do? Is there a website they can go to?
Yeah, they can do a website. I'll give my phone number. It's 416-363-7172. That's my office number. So social media, they can email me at eej@criminallawlitigation.com.
Well, thank you so much for chatting with us tonight. And my only disappointment is when you came into the studio. When she came into the studio tonight, do you believe Lawyer in Heels was wearing flats?
True story.
Unbelievable. Real pleasure to chat tonight and hear a little bit about not only the story of litigation and get a little bit educated, because it's always helpful to have a little bit of that information, but you know, how someone is making a presence for themselves known and trying to empower people to be their authentic self via Instagram Reels and TikTok. So it's kind of fun. That's the Brian Crombie Show on Canada One TV. Thanks for joining us. Good night.